Thanksgiving, everyone, from the Matt Morris Digital Studio here in Fresno, California, with the sports director of KC24 and CBS 47, Scott Bemis. I'm the production manager here, Dean Show. We're doing this show. It's called the Beem and Dean Show. We do it twice a week. We've been doing it since March. We've been having a blast.
Yeah.
You can see the show on the KC24 CBS 47 Plus app, but tonight we're on CBS 47, which is exciting. Scotty, your thoughts?
Well, first off, yeah, it's the holiday season, right? So I've got my my blue and my red on, right? Starting to get into the
He's got his sweater on.
Holiday frame of mind here. And Thanksgiving, Dean, is there a better sports day? I mean, I know first couple days of the NCAA tournament is fantastic. Wild card weekend in the NFL is great. College football playoff time, always fun. Bowl game season.
Yeah.
But Thanksgiving, when I think of sports, I think of family, Thanksgiving, football.
And food.
Barry Sanders on my TV when I was a kid. Couldn't always watch Barry because I was growing up in Southern California. We didn't always get the Lions games. And so I was like, cool, I get to watch Barry Sanders today on Thanksgiving.
Yeah, I mean, the food. Hopefully you guys are enjoying a nice feast tonight as you're watching our show. Yeah, I mean, Lions, Cowboys, they're a staple on Thanksgiving, always have been. You know, you got Black Friday tomorrow. Everyone's getting ready to go shopping. So it's just an exciting time, you know.
Do you actually go shopping on Black Friday?
I don't.
Neither do I.
I don't.
I'm on my couch watching sports still.
Yeah, my 13-year-old's like, hey, Dad, you want to go out? And I'm like, nah, let's stay in and watch Nebraska, Iowa. So that's kind of where I stick, you know, watching college football, especially on Friday. So, but anyway, thanks for being with us tonight. We're going to do like a best of show here real quick. We're going to kind of show some of the stuff that we've been doing over the last 7 months. We've been going since March. Again, we ask you guys to download the KC24 CBS 47 Plus app. We're also on YouTube. Subscribe and like if you guys can. And with that being said, enjoy the best of the Beem and Dean Show. All right, Scotty, we had a good topic today. You know, we were kind of scrambling a little bit, and then you kind of, the light bulb went off, and I go, yeah, that's a good one. I like this one. So on Monday night, we had 2 pro football games, back to back. Complete action. Good games, too. I mean, honestly, you know, so.
Why isn't the NFL doing this every week?
Why are we not doing this every week? Scott, go.
Well, it's just simple. We love football as a populace in America, right? Monday Night Football. It's an institution.
Yes.
Here on the West Coast especially, I think sometimes we get a little bit of the short end of the stick occasionally with things. We're kind of an afterthought sometimes. But this would be great for us, right? I know it's not as great on the East Coast probably because you know, the second game's not going to end until midnight or 1 a.m. But you know what? Real football fans are going to stay up and watch.
True football fans are going to watch it.
And really, most football fans are going to watch it, not just true football fans. They're going to complain about it probably the next day, but they're going to be watching that night. It just seems like such a no-brainer, right?
Yes.
Instead of jamming another game into the Sunday slate, right, where we're trying to keep track of, I think there were 9 games in the early window, you know, last week. I mean, look, I love tons of games going on. I'm a big fan of the Red Zone channel, all that stuff. But just move one other game to Monday Night Football each week. You know, start it at 4 o'clock. If you want to have a little crossover, you can. Like, you don't always have to start the second game at 7 o'clock, in my opinion, Pacific time. You could start it at 6, have a little crossover for like an hour. We have 2 games going on at the same time. Trust me, in this modern society, I've got 2 TVs at home. I think most people have multiple screens going at the same time.
Right.
It just seems like, why are they hesitating? They keep giving us little dribs and drabs of it, right? I've got to figure there would be more money for the NFL, right? And it seems like they're always about the money.
Absolutely. And then with some of these sources too, these streams, you can split the stream out yourself too, so you can watch both games at the same time without having to adjust too much. I completely agree with you. I don't like having 8 or 9, 10 a.m. Pacific games at the same time because you really can't watch them. Yes, the red zone's great, but you only can catch bits and pieces of what's going on. Subtract 2 of those games away and put them exclusively where you can put full eyes on everything. I completely agree with you. I think that's a great idea. So over the weekend, we had 2 firings already in college football. We had UCLA firing former UCLA running back Deshaun Foster, then head coach, and Brent Pry got fired from Virginia Tech. Both got off to really, really bad starts. I want to kind of go over the UCLA thing because I have a problem with schools, universities, hiring coaches that aren't qualified for the position that might look appealing visually, but behind the scenes just don't have any merit whatsoever. Deshaun Foster, was never a coordinator. He was just a running backs coach for all these years. Yes, he's been in rooms and stuff, but I just don't understand where UCLA was going with this after Chip Kelly left to go to the NFL. Or he went to Ohio State, didn't he? NFL, then Ohio State, I'm trying to remember. But Chip Kelly left. Deshaun Foster comes in. We had a very similar situation at Colorado where we hired John Embry as our head coach. He never had any head coaching experience. He was a tight ends coach in the NFL for years. Fell flat on his face as well in the early 2010s. So what are your thoughts on Deshaun Foster, UCLA, and in general?
Yeah, I mean, it's obviously not working there. Deshaun Foster, a great UCLA running back in the day. I think sometimes teams and programs get a little too caught up in hiring one of their own, meaning like a UCLA alum, even Fresno State occasionally, maybe can get a little too caught up in that, as far as hiring a bulldog, right? And keeping it in the family. I know USC, has kind of struggled with that occasionally too at different times. Yeah, it just feels like he lost the locker room somehow here. I mean, I didn't get a chance to see much of the UCLA-New Mexico game.
There wasn't much to see.
Yeah, but looking at that score, I was a little shocked. I came back from covering high school football, and I looked at that score, and I wasn't shocked to see that, New Mexico had beaten UCLA, because I know UCLA was struggling, and there was kind of interesting times there in Westwood, but I was shocked to see that score.
They laid it on, Scott, at the end. They were scoring touchdowns in garbage time. They were talking smack. It was bad. It was really, really bad. I mean, honestly.
Yeah, I mean, it's hard to put your finger on exactly what it is that makes a good head coach, especially at the college level. But what I have come to realize is that so much of it is about just kind of the tone you set and the culture you create, and it's less about maybe the individual play calls or even clock management. That's a big deal, but like it's more about the overall tone and culture that you set for a program. Because honestly, Dean, most programs, the offensive coordinator, the defensive coordinator, they're calling pretty much the entire game. There are some occasions where a head coach is, one of those coordinators who has a big impact on that side of the ball.
Right.
But honestly, they're just making the big picture decisions during a game, right? Usually whether to go for it on fourth down, when to use a timeout, right? And you're just kind of setting the tone. Of course, they're in charge of those two coordinators.
Right.
Their input can be heard, and they got to make sure, that they're managing everything well.
Right.
But there's so much that goes into being a head coach that I think it's got to the point where you got to have the respect of the players in the locker room. And I don't know what the situation was at UCLA.
Well, yeah, none of us do.
Deshaun Foster, may land on his feet. He may turn out to be a good football coach. I mean, just to get to a position like that, you have to be an impressive individual.
Yeah.
So give Deshaun credit for that. But it wasn't working. And when a school makes a decision like this, early in the season, it's a clear sign that something's amiss, something's wrong. Maybe they're hearing from players or, behind the scenes,
Sure.
Something's going wrong. Of course, they were involved in that whole Nico, Ima Malieva stuff during the offseason, which was kind of a mess to begin with. Him leaving Tennessee, over that dispute over NIL money, coming to UCLA, and then it was basically like a trade for quarterbacks.
Right.
With the UCLA quarterback, Joey Aguilar, going to
which
Tennessee.
We'll talk about in a minute.
But, I feel bad in a way. Even though he's getting an opportunity, I kind of feel bad for Tim Skipper and Jethro Franklin, who's on that staff as well, right? Former Fresno State assistant coaches. Obviously, Tim Skipper was the interim head coach for the Bulldogs.
Now Tim Skipper is the interim head coach
Skipper,
at UCLA.
amazingly, is the interim head coach here now, however many months later, right, as the head coach of UCLA. But I mean, I wish Skip the best, right? I want him to hopefully be able to get a few wins here, right? Kind of get things headed in the right direction, because I'm rooting for Tim Skipper. He's an easy guy to root for, and he deserves an opportunity to be a head coach again at some point.
All right, right back to the World Series really quick. I just got one point I got to get off my chest though here. And other guys have said it. I'm not the first. I'm not claiming to be the author of this. But Miguel Rojas's homer in the ninth inning against Hoffman, in my opinion, is the biggest home run in Dodgers history, period. Bigger than Gibby, bigger than Freddie, just because of the time and space. The fact that we were batting 200 as a team in that series, the fact that there was one out in the ninth inning, the fact that they weren't going to pitch to Ohtani, next. I had a feeling they were going to probably walk him and try to take their chances with the other guys.
Oh, yeah. There's no doubt about that.
But Miguel Rojas putting that swing on the ball, honestly, kind of lunging at it, lunging at the ball, and then for the ball to travel the way it did. I mean, Scotty, what are your thoughts?
I think it's a legitimate argument. The points that you bring up, hard to get over just the absolute drama and legendary, iconic moment that Gibson's home run was, just because of the injury and everything else that went into that. And that Dodger team, remember, they were a big underdog headed into that series, right, against the A's. And so that was kind of a, an underdog Cinderella story there. Yeah, I think it beats Freddie's homer. Me personally, maybe that's just because it seems like the longer you get away from moments, the more epic they become, and probably the longer we get away from Freddie's homer. But it just feels like it just kind of happened yesterday almost. And so I get that part of it. I agree with you. The fact that you were down makes that home run so meaningful. And from Miguel Rojas
on
of all
the
people.
road in Toronto's, they're getting the bottles ready in the locker room. I mean, the fans were just on their.
The only thing that
Go ahead.
just maybe knocks it down a little bit is that it wasn't a game-winning home run, right? And there still had to be several amazing plays after that, for the Dodgers to end up pulling it out.
That's a good point. It's a good point. But I'm honestly, for this journeyman guy whose dream is to be the manager of the Dodgers someday, I mean, just a phenomenal moment. I just wanted to give him his just due.
Well, then to back it up with that defensive play that we talked about.
The defensive play came right after that. Yeah, exactly. So, I mean, but again, Dave Roberts, I will say this. Like I said, I've given him a lot of criticism. I will admit it. But the moves he made in the last two World Series, the moves he made in game in different spots in those two World Series helped us win both of them. So, got to give him his props. So,
well, what's funny? The only thing maybe that could have made that game even a little bit more epic is what? If Clayton Kershaw had come into the game.
Well, did you look in the bullpen?
Yes, even just showing him up in the bullpen.
They showed him in the bullpen.
It added to the drama, and I love Joe Davis. He was just the master of understatement there, the play-by-play guy for Fox, because you just said, and Clayton Kershaw is up in the bullpen. That's all
crazy.
He said, and that's all he needed to say.
I mean, they showed the shot. You got Sasaki and Kershaw up there throwing, and you've got Vlad on third, and you've got Barger on first, or Barger. He's on first. And then as soon as Kirk hit the ball, he knew he was done. I mean, as soon as that bat broke, you saw the look on his face. But Mookie had to make that play. And Mookie, at times, has thrown the ball away on these double play balls. So for him to make that play,
that's like
pretty amazing.
That's like the dream scenario, though, is that you have a
slow
chopper,
runner,
chopper, belt high to field it. You don't have to even flip the ball. You don't even have to make a turn.
He runs
You just
over.
go over, tag the bag yourself, and you still have to make the play.
Right.
And Kevin and I were talking about this earlier.
Sure.
The other big Dodgers fan at the station. That's one of the cool things about playoff baseball is, when you get to those moments during the regular season, you just take things for granted, right? Like plays defensively. Just a normal fly ball, right? You just take it for granted, can of corn. When you get to those moments, even if it's just a normal fly ball, you are seeing that ball into the glove as a fan, waiting for that ball to be caught, with nerves,
Bated
flying
breath.
through you.
Bated breath.
Because weird things happen suddenly in these moments.
Absolutely.
And so, again, that's another reason why that game was so great.
I mean, look at that Phillies NLDS game where Pages hit the little nubber to the pitcher. You think, okay, he's got time to field it. He rushes and he throws the ball away, and the Dodgers survive that series. So
just think of the swings that happen here, just because of basically a half hour or 45 minutes of baseball.
Yeah.
Right. You're having a parade as we speak. In Dodger Stadium.
Yeah.
Right. Toronto probably had their whole parade already planned. The city did, right? They have to. I mean, the city has to be prepping for all that stuff. So whatever hundreds of thousands of people would have been in the streets of Toronto today, but no, now they're not, right?
Absolutely.
Dave Roberts' legacy, long term now completely flipped the other way, where he goes from maybe someone that people questioned in the postseason to now being an epic manager who, who knows? I mean, maybe he gets in the Hall of Fame someday as a manager.
I'm sure he probably will. I'm sure he will now.
Clayton Kershaw, just having pitched in this series, right? And then, showing off his shirtless self on the postgame as well.
And saying he hasn't run in 7 months. That was the best part.
Right. Wins another world title, has a moment in the World Series, a positive moment.
Yeah, what a way to go out, by the way, huh, Scotty?
What's that?
What a way to go out.
No doubt. I mean, it
helps him win Game 3, and then he sits and he's in the bullpen, and he said to someone, I didn't know if we won it or not. He thought there was only one out, and then it was two. And they're like, no, we just won. And he went running out. So over the weekend in Lubbock, Texas, we had a big game there. And one thing they do at Texas Tech is they throw tortillas on the field to start the game. One thing I experienced last year, because Colorado traveled there, was a nationally televised game, is not only do they throw tortillas on the field for the opening kickoff, They were throwing them on the field almost every possession that Colorado had the ball, to the point where receivers were slipping on these tortillas. They warned the crowd. The coach came out to midfield, his name's Joey McGuire, and said, knock it off. Happened this last weekend again at a home game. My question to you, Scott, is it ever okay to throw items on a field /court /ice, even if it is tradition? I'm going to pose it to you first.
Well, I think throwing stuff is a little over the top, a little out of line, because it's so easy for that then to just kind of, get a little worse and escalate a little bit, where people start throwing some other things, drinks, all this stuff. And,
yes.
And that's when safety kind of becomes an issue. I remember UC Santa Barbara, I used to do this for their basketball games.
Right.
They would throw a bunch of tortillas. And at that time, it seemed like kind of like a fun tradition. I'm a big believer in tradition. I like tradition with college football, so I don't know if there's a way to find an answer that where you could have somehow keep this tradition alive but still be safe. I mean, I'd have to think about it a little more, but I mean, it's clear from the Texas Tech, head coach's point of view that he's trying to get his student body to not do it, right? And it's going to get to a point where, what are they going to have to do? Like search everybody as they're coming in to make sure they don't have tortillas, hidden
You would
somewhere?
think so. They search you for everything else when you come into a game. Why do they allow you to bring bags of tortillas in? I mean, honestly, and some stuff can be in those tortillas. They could be wrapped with batteries or anything. There was rumors about a pocket knife. I don't know if that's true or not. I just know with Colorado, when we played there, they threw bottles on the field to the point where they almost stopped the game in the fourth quarter.
And they're hurting their team because didn't they get 2 15-yard penalties?
They did, and they also got a fine after the game. I believe it was $25,000. But Lance Leopold, the Kansas coach, was not happy at all. He was not happy with the security at that game, and I know Deion Sanders had the same issue last year. So I'm just kind of asking you, for hockey, you get you 3 goals, it's a hat trick, you throw hats on the ice. I just don't like the precedent it sets. I understand tradition, but I think there's other things you can do that are tradition-based that don't necessarily have to deal with throwing stuff that possibly might injure a player or maybe hit a player. Like, what if the visor of a cap hits a guy in the eye, So it's just possible. It's not probably probable, but it's possible. It's just something I just wanted to kind of throw out there.
I guess my only counter to it would be, like I said, that I think some of the reasons that college sports in general are so beloved in this country are traditions,
right?
Like this, whether it's throwing tortillas or it's putting toilet paper at Auburn, right? Like rolling Toomer's Corner or whatever it is, and certain traditions like they have at Iowa, where they wave to the children's hospital, which obviously is an incredibly great thing.
Completely different than throwing stuff on a field, though.
The hard part is 99% of the students are probably, engaging in this tradition in the right way and just, having a little fun with it. But it's that 1% that you don't know about.
Sure.
And unfortunately, it can be a problem. So, I mean, in this case, the Big 12 has basically said that they don't want this.
Right.
Right. So, yeah, they're gonna have to find a way to curtail it.
How many times have we been at a game, you and I, with our kids or whatever, and it's always that 1% that you remember. It's not the 99% who are doing things the right way, right?
It's so hard to find a solution to these things without just completely banning it, right?
Sure.
Because, I know we've seen issues with storming the court or storming the field. Deion commented on it recently.
It just happened to
Colorado
on
Deion
Saturday.
said that, he didn't want it to be banned, right? Like he liked the fact that the students, stormed the field at Colorado.
Right, but how many times have we heard about that 1% jumping on the back of an opposing player and then all of a sudden a fight breaks out? We've seen it before.
Well,
we've seen people get injured, like on a basketball court. I think his name was Filipowski. He got injured. He was a basketball player at Duke. He got hurt because something happened,
Well, I think it's way more dangerous too in the setting of a basketball court where it's
tighter,
so much tighter confined there. But having said that, if you are going to curtail this, then you gotta amp up the security. If you're the Big 12 and you are going to say this is not allowed,
right?
Then you've got to amp up the measures as far as keeping tortillas out of the stadium.
I get it.
And to keep people from rushing the field.
Right.
You got to amp up the security, or you got to figure out a way where they can, because you're right. It is dangerous.
Right.
I mean, the trampling thing too that can happen. If somebody falls, they can get trampled on real easily.
No, absolutely, for sure. And like I said, a lot of these security people are hired last minute and they don't get any training. They literally get a 10-minute. We've all been to a game on a sideline. They get a 10-minute crash course on what. Right. I
mean, they're
not like police officers.
Yeah.
Right?
No, they're not. And having said all that, I just want to be clear that I do think if they can find a way to kind of have a little bit of this mixed in, I would be in favor of it.
Okay.
Now, I know Dean would love to see an 88-team playoff in both college
I knew you were
football
gonna go there.
and the NCAA tournament. But my coming in hot today is, Dean, here we are in early November, right? And usually in years past, in college football, before the institution of the 12-team playoff, we'd have 4 or 5 teams that were still in the national title mix. Okay, that was cool for those 4 or 5 fan bases, those 4 or 5 teams, and you might get an awesome, huge showdown of the century type of thing, 1 versus 2, where the drama would be incredible in that one regular season game.
Sure.
But it would have just been one regular season game. My argument now, Dean, is the college football playoff is working perfectly because you've got tons of games every single Saturday, including this Saturday, that are meaningful now. You look at the 4 teams tied atop the ACC, not to mention that probably 4 or 5 others still have a legitimate chance mathematically. I'd have to break down the numbers and have somebody who's smarter than me do that for me, of winning that conference title and getting into the playoff.
Right.
6 teams with 1 or 2 losses in the Big 12. My USC Trojans, who in years past with 2 losses, hey, Trojan fan base would have checked out completely. We are still checked in because we still have a shot at the playoff. We got Oregon, on the horizon. Got Iowa this week. Suddenly, these are big games, Dean, where in years past they wouldn't have meant anything because so many more teams are involved. Sure, you lose a little bit of that special character of the regular season, the fact that it was so important and you couldn't lose the game. But I think that is far outweighed by the fact that more teams are now playing meaningful games into November, into late November.
Yeah, I agree. I'm not saying it's not working, Scott. I do agree with your point. I would just love to see a couple more included into the big party at the end of the year. That's all I'm going to say. 12 teams, much better than 4. I'll completely agree with you, and it is working. But again, with the expanded TV ratings, with NIL, and a more competitive college landscape, I would love to see it go to 14 or 16 and maybe draw a line there. You and I have talked about this before. Not saying it's not working. That's just my take. Go for it.
Yeah, no, I just think it's been a great thing for college football. I think you'll see people out there who will say, the regular season is being diminished. I just don't see that in any way. I think the regular season has been elevated. I think the ratings are speaking to that. And, I just think college football, from a interest point of view, is in a great spot. There's a whole bunch of other issues, obviously, that are kind of coming to the surface with NIL and the transfer portal and all that stuff. And they still need to get all that stuff figured out a little bit, or at least try to, fix some of the things that are involved there. But I think all in all, the college football playoff has been a really good thing, and we're seeing it play out in real time for us this season.
Yeah, I agree. Fresno State, when they play Utah State next week, are going to be wearing white jerseys at home with green trim in honor of the Valley Growers. It's not that I don't think that they should respect the growers. I do. I love the green V. I love the green Vs on the field. But Scotty, are we taking this too far at this point? The alternate blacks, love them. The alternate blues, love them. White with green? No. Got to draw the line there. The buck stops right there. Does Georgia wear green at home? Does Alabama wear green at home? No. Sorry, don't like it. Not a fan. Your thoughts?
You know who does occasionally wear green at home?
Notre Dame.
Yes, they do. And they usually bust them out against USC is what it usually happens.
Get it.
They got the Irish thing going with the green. I'm not nearly as fired up about this as you are.
I am.
I just think of it as marketing.
I don't even like red. I don't like the color red because of Nebraska, but the traditional Fresno State Bulldog red, I'm fine with. I like the alternate blacks. I like the alternate blues. Wearing white at home with green trim, nah, you lost me there. Sorry. I know it's like a marketing ploy trying to sell jerseys. I get it, but I'm just going to kind of leave it there. So,
yeah, I will say this. The green V that Pat Hill established.
Love the green V. Love the green V.
No, I hear you.
Love the growers. Love the growers.
You're not going to be alone probably in this sentiment. And we'll see like if it turns into a full whiteout. So as opposed to the green, they're billing it as a whiteout as opposed to the green part of it, right? But they are trying to embrace that, the ag mentality, and I think that the green V. I'll just say this:
why don't we have the ag person of the game, the ag company of the game, then, or one per half or something? Let's do it that way. But why do we have to put white jerseys with green trim on a team that wears red? Just my thought.
Do you have a problem when Oregon goes with like 88 different alternate unis?
I've never liked the alternate jerseys for Oregon. I truly haven't. I mean, I thought the chrome helmets were kind of cool. They were kind of the special thing there. But like, is Florida State going to pop green out? Are they going to go white and green, because they are white and blue because they're by the ocean? I don't know. I'm just throwing it out there. So that was it. It seems like it's kind of gotten over commercialized now. Like every game's now on all the platform of networks compared to when you and I were younger. And that last week where they show like the semifinals and the finals, it was always really cool. What are your thoughts really quick on this?
Yeah, it's not something I'm hot about necessarily, but, as I was trying to come up with a take on something today, I noticed the Little League World Series started yesterday, and it was kind of off my radar. To be honest with you, I wasn't really even aware that it had started. Always this time of year, when the Little League World Series is going on, it's kind of the cue to me that football is right around the corner because the Little League World Series always ends right before football. But it just got me thinking that there used to be such incredible charm about the Little League World Series when it used to be on like Wide World of Sports when we were growing up, Dean, in the 80s and 90s. And there weren't so many games televised, right? And I get it. Everything is televised these days. ESPN's looking for programming, all that stuff, right? And I will tune in and I will watch and, at times, right? And tune in. But, when you've got, I think they've got 8 American teams, 8 international teams, I believe. I mean, there's games going on constantly. And I feel like a little of the magic of seeing the Little League World Series on TV has kind of been lost a little bit, right? Because it's almost like the games are just on constantly and you kind of lose track of what's going on. There was so much charm back in the day when that came on, because really all you saw usually was maybe the United States Championship,
right,
and then the World Series Championship, right? Sometimes just the World Series Championship.
True.
Honestly,
that's true.
And it would be on Saturday on network television, right? On back when network television really meant something, right? And you had Jim McKay or Keith Jackson doing the call, and they've made a 30 for 30 about one of those teams in the 80s, Trumbull, Connecticut's team, I believe it was, that won famously and had a picture of note on that team. It looked like he was going to be a stud and kind of followed what happened to him, later in life. But I think for a long time, right, wasn't that shot to the thrill of victory on the Wide World of Sports famous
with the
Open?
gloves going up. Yeah, totally.
And so I don't know. I don't even really know like what I'm saying here, other than the fact that I just feel a little sad that a little bit of the charm of it has gone away. That so many games are on TV. That that special nature when I was 12 years old, 10 years old, and I was playing Little League, and I'm like, oh my goodness, look at this. There's a Little League game that's on ABC Wide World of Sports. Totally. Right? It was inspiring. So I don't know. I just think something's been lost there.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, that's the best of the Beem and Dean Show. That's what we got. This is what we do every week. Between Scotty and I, we'll do wagering. We talk about sports. We come in hot. We have hot takes. It's been fun, man. It's been fun doing this. For me, especially coming off the sideline and being able to be with you every week, it's a lot of fun.
It really has been, Dean, and I think the energy on this show always brings a smile to my face. We like to joke around a little bit. Some of our plays work out, sometimes they don't. Use at your own risk, a disclaimer there, but there are times where we can get hot, with the picks. And so if you catch us at the right time, who knows, maybe we can even make you some money. But Dean, it's been a blast doing this with you, and hope to continue to do it.
Absolutely. So anyway, on behalf of Scott Bemis, I'm Dean Shiro. Thanks again for watching. And again, you can watch us every Monday and Thursday at 12:30 and 8:30 on the KC24 CBS 47 Plus app. Thanks a lot, guys. Bye.